UFC Abu Dhabi is an incredible fight night. It's not at night, it's actually in the morning for most American viewers, but it's still a very good card with a couple of fights that have title implications. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to give you my bets for UFC Abu Dhabi. Before I give you my bets, let me direct you to my website. If you go to WeWantPicks.com, we have a full suite of bets, tools, insights, offerings, and everything that you can need heading into a fight weekend. If you're the type of person that just wants to see some other bets, copy, paste, move on with your day, and cross your fingers, we have a ton of bets for you, and they have been pretty successful. If you're the type of person that wants to do some of your own research, deep dive, dig in, find your spots, we have a whole suite of tools that will help you do that. The latest and greatest tool is called the Data Analyzer. It has data for every single fight card that is available well through September. You can work through, select your fighter, select your data point, add filters. It'll chart that information out for you. You can export those charts. You can even watch the fights themselves. If you click on one of these little dots on the chart, it will take you to the fight to watch. It is quite literally the greatest research tool ever designed. You will also get another tool called the Prop Hunter. This is a curated data set that is designed specifically to help you find prop bets. It's going to give you everything you need if you're trying to do daily fantasy prop bets, or if your sports book, like a DraftKings or a BetOnline, offers significant strikes, takedowns, round line leans, and more. You're also going to get a tool called the Line Movement Tracker. This is going to give you the opening odds, the current odds, the win probability, and the line movement for every fighter on every card, so you can very quickly see where the trends are, what direction things are headed. Again, you're going to get a full suite of tools. You're also going to get bets that are already made. All of my bets, Jacob's bets, Artem's bets, the betting systems, everything you could ever want or need heading into a fight weekend for $10 a month. You're going to get UFC Abu Dhabi. You're going to get the UFC Vegas card next week. You're going to get UFC 305. All of that for $10. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. Quite literally the greatest value in this space that has ever been created. Let's talk about this card specifically. The next slide are the bets. We'll get to those. But before we talk about the bets, let's talk in some generalities. Let's talk about some confident favorites as well as some very solid underdogs on this card. This does feel like a favorite-heavy card. There are some dogs. We'll talk about them. I've got some dog bets on the next slide, but I do feel like most favorites are going to win here. Let's run through that. The first one is Shamil Gaziev. I get it. The dude looks like a pillow that was microwaved for 10 minutes. He's soft. You could argue he quit in his last fight. I don't think he did. He's not going to win a beauty contest anytime soon, but he can still fight. In his last fight, it was the first time that he really had to go the distance. It was the first time in a main event in the UFC on that stage. There was a lot of factors working against him. What that doesn't do is take away from his skills and his ability. Even though he looks like that green dude from Ghostbusters, it doesn't mean he still doesn't have those skill sets. He's wildly athletic for a guy his shape. He's strong. He's powerful. He hits hard. He has wrestling if he needs it. He had a wrestling game plan in his last fight. And this is a tremendous step down in competition. I do think Shamil Gaziev gets it done. Caio Fernandes minus 400. A lot of this has to do with his opponent. Caio Fernandes is good. He's got the skills. He's relatively untested, though. So it is hard to say, oh, he's that great. He should be this big of a favorite. These odds, in my opinion, really come down to his opponent. Muhammad Yahya literally was just falling over for no reason in his last fight. He's not very skilled at all. He is tough, he is durable, but he's not the most skilled fighter. So sometimes you have to look at the opponent, and that weighs into who you think is going to win and how confident you are in their ability to win. Michael Chiesa, it's the exact same story. I'm sorry. There's a lot of Tony Ferguson lovers out there. There's a lot of people out there. Oh, Tony's going to win. This is Tony's comeback. He's going to retire on top. And I get it. Wanting that to happen. I'm all for it. Let Tony burn the place down. I'm all for it. Wanting that to happen and what actually is going to happen are two different things. Tony Ferguson is on a 7-fight skid. And I understand those 7 fights are against very good fighters. And Michael Chiesa on paper is a big step down. But the reality is Michael Chiesa is big. Tony Ferguson's a 155-pounder. This is at 170. Tony Ferguson wasn't defending Paddy Pimblett's takedowns. And I know Paddy just looked really good in his last fight, but that wasn't takedowns. He got shot on. Michael Chiesa is big. He is smart. He doesn't have brain damage. I think Michael Chiesa gets this fight to the ground. It's probably not the most exciting fight, but Tony Ferguson is well past his prime. This is not the man that tripped over the wire so many years ago. I mean, at a certain point, you got to objectively look at these people and I hate to say it, but Tony Ferguson should have retired 3 years ago. Umar Nurmagomedov. This is another pick a lot of people don't love, or they don't have a problem with the pick, but they're very confident that Corey Sandhagen can make something happen. Corey Sandhagen is the better overall fighter in this matchup. He's a high IQ guy. He works his ass off. He's got skills everywhere. I love Corey Sandhagen, but I just think he gets out-wrestled. I think it's literally that simple. At a certain point, I don't care how good your striking is. I don't care how good your jiu-jitsu is, your fight IQ. If you're getting taken down often, you don't have the ability to strike when you want to. It takes away from your ability to work like fluidly on the feet if you're worried somebody's going to shoot on you. I think Umar Nurmagomedov is just going to be too much, too aggressive, too much wrestling, staying in his face, and I think it's going to be not a great night for Corey Sandhagen, and I think Umar gets it done. If we're looking at underdogs, again, I don't love all the dogs on this card. Rolando Bedoya is an underdog that I picked. I have a bet on him at much better odds than this because I got it basically last week. Rolando Bedoya is adjusting weight classes here. He's dealt with power. He's dealt with volume. He's dealt with a lot of fighters so far of various levels. He hasn't won yet in the UFC, but what he has done is shown us how tough he can be. He moves forward. He has incredible volume. He throws everything at you and just continues to move forward. He's fighting a guy that can be tentative, that doesn't really let his hands go in Jai Herbert, a guy that tries to stay technical, but somehow gets hit more often than he hits his opponents. I think Rolando Bedoya can literally just walk him down and take a decision because of the incredible volume on his side. Sam Hughes, plus 150. Those are probably the best odds for an underdog on this card. Listen, Sam Hughes isn't the best fighter as far as just raw technique and raw talent is concerned, but she is nothing but tough, constant forward pressure. She will break you with her cardio. And Victoria Dudikova, her opponent, is good. She's winning fights, but she's gotten ragdolled a few times. She's gotten taken down a few times when she shouldn't have. She's made some weird decisions. This could absolutely be a fight where Sam Hughes just moves forward, stays in Victoria's face, never quits, works in some takedowns, maybe steals a close decision, maybe just runs right through it. Like this, Sam Hughes is a good underdog, at least in my opinion, in this fight. I don't think she's the more skilled fighter, but the forward pressure, the wrestling, the grit, the determination could be the difference. Elves Brenner. Elves Brenner has been spoiler many times before. Knocked out Garam. Knocked him out. Was getting the shit kicked out of him for 2.5 rounds and then knocked him out. He could do the same here. He's fighting Joel Alvarez. Joel Alvarez has 0 offensive takedowns in the UFC. Joel Alvarez is basically the Mackenzie Dern of that division. Decent hands. Can't really take anybody down. And can defend takedowns, but why would they? Because they're desperate to get the fight on the ground. If Elves Brenner comes forward with big, heavy power in the hands, doesn't really wrestle. If he does wrestle, stays safe, or at least makes Joel pay for that with elbows to the face and just staying busy on top and not getting too much risk, Elves Brenner can win this fight. And then Lupita Godinez, minus 103. She is the underdog in this fight, but it's basically even money. And I think that's because everybody recognizes Lupi is the better fighter. She's got better offensive striking, better defensive striking, certainly has better wrestling, but she's an idiot. And no offense to Lupi, but we have seen her make terrible decisions in fights. We've seen her shoot takedowns when she shouldn't. We've seen her not shoot takedowns when we should. In her last fight in Verna Jandiroba, she could have won that fight. She was defending takedown early. Then she got taken down, popped right back up. Later, gets taken down, holding on to a submission like she's Ryan Hall. Made absolutely no sense. Terrible decision-making. So Lupi is the better fighter. She should win this fight. The problem is you cannot trust her decision-making. That is why she's an underdog, because of the decisions we've seen her make in the past. But the reality is Lupi Godinez is a very, very good fighter. And frankly, outside of just jiu-jitsu, the better fighter in that matchup. Let's take a look at the actual bets. First thing you're going to notice is we beat the odds. We beat the odds. We got better odds because we placed these bets a little while ago. If you're a premium member and you saw these bets earlier in the week, last week when some of them were placed, then you got some very good odds here. And frankly, the difference between you and somebody placing bets today could be profit. For example, Rolando Bedoya, I bet on him at plus 145. He's plus 106 right now. Essentially 0.4. If you're betting a full unit on the fights, that movement is 40%. 40% difference. And that is absolutely 100% can be the difference between making money or losing money on a card, depending on how all of your bets flesh out. Obviously, if the bet misses, who cares what the odds were? But if the bet hits and you bet $100 on it, instead of getting $145 in profit, you're going to get $106 in profit. That $39 difference matters. That is a giant percentage point, and it is very important when you're placing bets, especially in a sport like this. So if you're not a premium member, become one. You get to see all the bets as early as we place them, real time as we're placing them, you're getting them. In this week, this case, we beat the odds. Rolando Bedoya plus 145. I got a half a unit on him. I think he's the busier fighter. I think he moves forward. I think he beats Jai Herbert with sheer volume and pressure. The power could be a little concerning. We watched Rolando get dropped in his last fight. He recovered, but we watched him get dropped. We've seen Ilia Topuria get dropped by Jai Herbert. I still think Rolando wins. Lupi Godinez plus 106. A little bit of movement on that as well. Now she's minus 103. Not tremendous, but those 9 points in that swing do matter at the end of the night. Lupi Godinez, for all the reasons I just mentioned. You're going to notice it's only a quarter of a unit, and that is because of the fight IQ. I can't trust her. If she always made the correct, well, first of all, if she always made the right decisions in fights, she'd be undefeated. She's basically the better fighter in almost every single matchup. And then she does stupid shit and loses. I can only have a quarter of a unit on somebody like that. Then I parlayed 2 favorites that I trust, but didn't trust them enough to put him in the safety parlay. SD Dumas will never see a safety parlay. The reality is he's not very good. He just isn't. Shamil Gaziev is a guy that I trust. He is a safety parlay caliber guy, but he's coming off of that loss, the finish loss, no less. I got to see how he bounces back. Did he hit the pavement? Did he strap up his shoes, start running, and just not be the ecto cooler guy? Did he work on some cardio? Can he last longer than a round and a half? I don't know. We're going to find out. So I think Shamil Gaziev is just the much better fighter in that matchup. I think SD Dumas, while he's not a great fighter, his opponent does get finished. I think both of these matchups are specifically designed to get these guys some wins. Half a unit on a plus money parlay. Then I took Michael Chiesa. All the reasons before. Guys, Tony Ferguson, I'm sorry for everybody in the comments section that's going on and on and on. Oh, Tony Ferguson's going to win. He's going to make people money. He's not going to win, guys. Come on. Michael Chiesa is also not great. He's on his own 3-fight skid. He's old. He's slow. He's not what he was, but he's a welterweight fighting a lightweight who hasn't won in 7 fights. He is a welterweight of sound mind fighting a gentleman that isn't all there. Michael Chiesa parlayed with the Cheeto Figgy over 2.5. Now, those odds are wide, minus 189, because those are 2 very solid outcomes there. Michael Chiesa should win. He's the biggest favorite on the card. Those odds have tightened, right? We waited a little bit. He was minus 400, that he ballooned up to minus 750, and now he's coming back down to reality. Cheeto Figgy over 2.5 makes sense to me. Cheeto Vera is literally one of the most durable fighters on planet Earth. Figgy is not the most dangerous fighter, especially not up at 135. Obviously, he's coming off a finish win at UFC 300, but I would blame that more on Cody Garbrandt than I would on just Figgy's just a dominating killer. I do think Figgy wins this fight. I do think he looks like a Nurmagomedov, but Cheeto was durable on the feet. Cheeto was durable on the ground. That should go the distance. And then, of course, the safety parlay. You're going to get good odds here. Safety parlay did miss last week. We could all thank Callan, dumbass Loughran, for that. That's on me. That's my fault. Callan's not a safety parlay caliber fighter, but I looked at that card and I said, you know what? He's fighting a dwarf, stepping up on short notice. We should be okay here. Callan can be boring. He can wrestle, and that's what I want from him. He didn't do it, and that one's on me. But the safety parlay still hits at a 70% event rate. The safety parlay is still the beacon of stability, and you can unlock that. And the rest of the bets now, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Let's take a look at Jakey Boy. He went a little wild this week. He's got over 11 units on the board. Obviously, 1.5 of those units are on Lupita Godinez. That is his underdog lock of the week. He's very confident in her. Last week, it was Bilal Muhammad. You guys trashed him in the comments. You guys dragged that dude through mud. You tied him up to the back of your pickup truck. You drove him down a dirt road. And then Bilal Muhammad went out there and won 4 rounds. And then it was like, whoa. Some people were normal, right? A great pick. I didn't see it happening. Great job. Normal response. Other people just were that Homer Simpson meme. hiding in the bushes just to pop out this week and be like, Lady MMA lock of the week, LOL. It's like, didn't you shit on the lock of the week last week? And then another chunk of people were like, well, nobody thought that was going to happen. It's like, no, Jacob did. And listen, he's not my cup of tea either, but I get it. Anyway, Lupita Godinez is his underdog lock of the week. Then he's got a whole bunch of other bets, 9.6 units of other bets on the board. He can basically more than double his money here. Almost double his money here. Sorry about that math. 21.53 units if all goes well in the world. He will be live streaming, so check him out. If you do want to unlock the rest of his bets, last week, this dude was on a heater. He crushed last week, even outside of the Bilal fight. Crushed his bets last week. If you do not unlock all of his bets, WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. Here is a look at BetOpenly. We talk about them pretty often. You're going to get the best odds from BetOpenly, right? Their money line odds are straight up the best. And that's because they're not a sports book. It's person versus person. So if you just want to go out there and there's a fighter you want to bet on, just straight up one fighter, go to BetOpenly. You're going to get better odds there. And that's because you're not trying to beat them. They don't care who wins or loses. When you win a money line bet, you're taking money from a human being. You're not taking money out of their pockets. They just charge a 1% processing fee to keep the website up and do all of that. The way parlays work with them is you can house a parlay. The odds vary there. They're not quite the same as a money line bet, but what you do get with the parlay is you're betting against somebody else. So for example, my parlay will have 2 bets in it. If one of those bets loses, you cash. You can find parlays on there that are 5, 6, 7 bets deep. Obviously, the odds aren't going to be great, but all you need to do is have one of those lose. The bet breaks, the parlay breaks, and you get paid. Check them out. WeWantPicks.com/BetOpenly or BetOpenly.com. Finally, that safety parlay. It missed last week. It's okay. Nothing is 100% not in this sport, but it is 70%. A single bet hitting at 70% event rate is crazy, especially in this space. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. You can unlock the safety parlay, all of my bets, all of Jacob's bets, all the tools, everything else right now for only $10 an entire month. And if you want $50, we will send you $50. Listen carefully. Every week, I get emails. People did it wrong. This is affiliate marketing. Just go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. On that page, you're going to see links to BetUS, BetOnline, MyBookie, sports betting. You click that link on that page. It takes you out, you create an account, you make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. It's affiliate marketing. When you do your part, they will pay me. When I get paid, I slice off the money and I pay you. Where people mess up is they'll just go to betonline.ag, sign up there and be like, hey, Ange. The problem is if you don't use the link, it doesn't get associated to our affiliate account. We don't get paid. You can't get paid. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Use the link, sign up, make a deposit. We'll send you $50 as a thank you.